Okay, right. My number 3 is Resident Evil 6 on the Xbox 360. Yeah. I was at Capcom earlier today, and I played it I was there for about 2.5 hours. And as you know, it's split into 3 campaigns, and I tried to give equal amount of time to each. And yeah, it's shaping up really nicely. I mean, I always have a problem when people start going on about how it's not survival horror anymore, which is an argument that came to light after Resident Evil 5, but not after Resident Evil 4. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece. Resident Evil 5 was pretty much crap.
Yeah.
But having one argument for one and not the other is completely wrong, because Resident Evil 4 was an action game as well. I mean, did you get scared in Resident Evil 4 ever?
Oh, only if a thing jumped around a corner. But I get scared in any game if something jumps out at me. It goes, ugh.
Yeah. But, okay. No, there wasn't a lot of that in 5.
Scared.
Yeah. No. Okay. This is.
Oh no! Actually, I take it back. I was scared by those fucking weird motherfuckers at the end of 4. You know, those guys who were like, hee. They're a bit like the Heaven Smile from Killer 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they actually creeped me the fuck out.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the transition from a survival horror to an action game has been going on longer than some people want to admit. But having said that, this seems to be a really neat. The 3 campaigns, although the stories are interlinked and they're going to entwine and stuff like that, but the 3 they actually feel very different. The controls are always the same. They do a nice thing where all the menus are different, just the HUD's different, your little bar that says how much ammo you've got, there's just little differences, but they actually feel different as well, and that's really, really quite cool. So the first one is Leon, which is classic. They say it's described to me as classic Resident Evil. It's more in line with Resident Evil 4, albeit with some big action sequences. And I played from the very beginning, where you have to escape from this university where the president was giving a speech. And it feels like Resident Evil 4. And there was... I'd love to tell you what it was, because it's really, really clever. But there's a fantastically well-engineered scare that fucking got me. And I was playing it in a bright room with sunlight beaming through. And I was just like, I just felt like it was like instant tick. I was like, you fucking nailed an absolutely... Because I don't get scared at anything. I don't jump at anything. And they fucking got me, and that was great. There's another bit where you find this guy and you have to help him find his missing child, and you kind of know that one of them's infected, and you're guiding them through this room, and they keep stopping, and they look like they're talking, or they look like something's happening, and you're just... It was really tense, and I was like... It may not be Resident Evil as you used to know it, but I was like, it feels fucking good. It is survival horror still emphasised, although there are intermittently really, really big action scenes in the middle. I will say it looks fantastic at this point. It's not even the build I saw wasn't even the finished one, but it looks really, really terrific. It looks as good as the next gen games looked, and Resi games have never been at the forefront of console technology ever. Well, maybe Resi 2 at the time when it came out on the PS1, but
Resi 4 looked the bomb,
but not like there were moments in this where I was like, is this Uncharted?
Right, sure.
Approaching Uncharted. I mean, there's things that have been inspired by Uncharted. So the way the characters move around scenery, like if you're trying to squeeze through a tight gap, they instantly do that. But the camera, like just the way it sort of swoops and pulls away from behind you, it looks lavish and expensive. It looks like I think this is almost certainly the most expensive Resident Evil game ever, and it's you can tell it looks like £1 million, or considerably more than that. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm excited. I met someone recently who liked Resident Evil 5 but didn't like Resident Evil 4.
What?
Which is kind of like liking Bad Boys 2 and not liking...
The Shawshank Redemption.
The Shawshank Redemption. Or Citizen Kane, although I don't really like Citizen Kane.
What?
So that's undermined my own argument.
Yeah, you're wrong. My number 5 is Resident Evil 6. I haven't played it again this week, but I didn't really cover much last week, so I'll go into a bit more detail about the other 2 campaigns. I've already spoken about the one that's sort of traditional Resident Evil.
That was the Leon campaign, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
The second one is Chris Redfield's campaign, and it's me and the guy were just laughing because the introductory cutscene is ludicrous in the way that Resident Evil does. I mean, it's just so willfully stupid, and so if you think that they don't know what they're doing, you're daft, because they love that kind. I mean, you basically, it's the classic scene that you've seen in a million cop movies. You find Chris Redfield in this bar in some hellhole, and he's drunk, and he's also got amnesia, and some guy comes back, the new young kid, to convince him to come back. And I mean, he's a mess. He's pissed, and he's properly an amnesiac. He can't remember anything. And within the space of about 10 hours in the game, he's then commanding his squad, searching for UN aid workers in China. And it's just like, it's so daft. The gameplay is much more like Resident Evil 5, which is going to split people down the middle. It's an action game. It's a sort of it's a very good one. And the problems that I had with Resident Evil 5 primarily were that they kept dumping you in a massive area and you had to clean out all the zombies and then move on, and that just got really boring. And the fact that they just gave you non-stop ammunition. And in this, across all 3 campaigns, there's hardly any ammunition. So whenever, whether it's a haunted house moment in this or some guy's running at you, you have to take ammunition into account when you're dealing with it. And I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's not Resident Evil, but as far as third-person action thrillers go, it was fun. And it's again, as I said last week, it's a gorgeous-looking game. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the most expensive game that Capcom have ever made. But there's that, and then the third campaign is Jake Muller, who's the son of Albert Wesker. And say what you like about the guys that write Resi, they're so good at creating shitheads. Because this guy is such a shithead. You're sitting there like, I'm like, you dick. He's the son of Albert Wesker, and he's basically the Messiah because he's got these C virus antibodies in him. Right. And they, the government know, and they send this agent, and they're like, you've got to do. And he's just a dick. He wants money, and he's like, well, it's just like they're so good at just painting people who you fucking hate. But he's the hero. And there's sort of some kind of suggestion that he's got superhuman powers or something. But it was the most enigmatic of the 3 because this one kind of you're in a war-torn Eastern European village and you're trying to escape from there. And for the first hour, it's primarily just puzzles. So the first one, Resident Evil horror, second one action, and the third one, it was all about solving these puzzles to get around this ridge. Unlocking this, lifting the ladder, classic Resident Evil stuff. So it'd be interesting to see when the game comes out how I know the plots entwine and whatnot, but I can't imagine they're going to keep those set gameplay things. I think they're going to drift in and out of each other.
Right.
But yeah, it's promising. I was surprised at how different they felt, despite the fact that they all play exactly the same. Also, QTEs are very good. There's not a lot of QTEs, but I played quite a few. They're all circles spinning, so a circle will be spinning, but there'll always be a dial there. It's so hard to explain. There's just a lot more to it. So when there's one of those bits where you have to hammer a button loads to do something, and it fills up the bar, you'll always be trying to beat a timer that's spinning around in front of it. So it adds a little frisson of like urgency to it. And when the normal QTEs, you normally have to stop the dial in a specific area, so it's quite hard to describe. But it's good. I mean, as I said last week, it's shaping up really nicely. I don't think Resident Evil nuts from back in the day are going to appreciate it because there's a lot of action in it. But I thought it was good. It looks like a big blockbuster dumbass Resi game, and I'm ready for it. I'm up for it.
Yeah, I am. Very much so. The only one I've ever been disappointed by was 5.
Same here.
Loved the other 4. Like Code Veronica. I mean, there's some of the spin-offs are shit, obviously, a lot of them, but I don't even count them. Yeah, I've got no reason or any concerns. I think it's going to be good.
I think it's going to. It could potentially be very good. I'm just interested to see what they do, whether they mix it up, and if they stay on each track and stuff. But yeah, impressed. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even like good chunks of Resi 5 were good. It just kind of got boring, and then more and more boring, and ended up running out of steam.
It was a lot of it was monotonous.
Yeah.
But then the final boss fight, which just for no reason took place in a volcano, and you're just like. There's still a little bit of that stupid dumbass DNA that everyone loves, and this looks to have that same kind of thing. So I'm sure it'll be good.